Hello, it's John Heaton, and this morning I'm going to pay tribute to Malcolm Young, the rhythm guitarist from AC/DC, who sadly passed away yesterday at the age of only 64. He retired from the band a few years ago, suffering from partial dementia, and it's very sad to lose him at such a tender age. 64 is nothing really. I've always found he was one of the co-founders of the band, and I've always found that, you know, maybe that Angus gets more credit or more attention together with the lead vocalists Bon Scott and later Brian Johnson, and maybe Malcolm gets a little bit lost in the mix, and not for the true AC/DC fans. They of course know his contribution, but the casual fan may not realise it to such an extent, because I've always found that rhythm guitar is a central part of their sound, and Malcolm co-wrote a lot of the songs along with Angus and Bon, and then later with Brian. They would credit the songs to the three of them, so there's no real way of telling who wrote what, but I think as a rhythm guitarist it's probably okay to say that he came up with quite a few of the riffs, which is such a distinguishable part of AC/DC's sound. And so in tribute to Malcolm, I'm going to review this album from 1979. It came out in August, and it was the last album with Bon Scott as the lead singer. Follow up to Power Ridge, and probably along with Power Ridge, those are my top two AC/DC albums. We have Bon Scott smiling here, the lead vocalist, Angus in the middle with the horns, Phil Rudd on the drums, Cliff Williams at the back on the bass, and then here we have Malcolm looking suitably mean for this Highway to Hell cover, superb cover. And actually my CD copy of Highway to Hell has, in the sleeve notes, it has the Australian version of this cover, which has flames all around the edge, which is quite effective. So check that out, and a good back cover as well, with the band taken at night. Maybe they could have filmed a video for Night Prowler with these sessions or something. So I bought this album when it came out, and just before I go through it, I just want to show you my son's new vinyl here, because it's got some nice sleeve notes here from Ernie Welch and some nice pictures, and a cooler label than the original Atlantic generic label. So that's new vinyl, Highway to Hell, and this album was very popular at school when it came out, and so I was amongst friends liking this, unlike some of the other music I was into, which wasn't quite so street cred, shall we say. So this album got played a lot, and that opening track, Highway to Hell, is just a timeless piece of magic from this band. I've always felt that whenever they play it live, they speed it up too much. I prefer it at this stately album pace, and just great words. My friends are going to be there too, all that. Bit sad, obviously, because Bon Scott would die within months of this album coming out, so it's tinged with sadness. And by the way, I love the way the band came back after Bon's death with the album Back in Black. I mean, what a cool way to return after the loss of your lead singer. But anyway, we're talking about this album. Girl's Got a Rhythm is next, and just one of their all-time classic rockers. Again, Malcolm's guitar perfectly complementing Angus's lead work, and Phil Rudd and Cliff Williams, the superb rhythm section that they are. Bon Scott is on fire on the vocals. It's just not that well known a track outside the core fan base, I guess, but every bit as good as any of their hits and more well known songs. I think it's in my top 3 or 4 AC/DC songs of all time. Then we've got Walk All Over You, which has a superb intro extended intro, and then the drums come in, and another great riff. I'm not sure if Malcolm wrote it, but it's a great riff. And a lot of these songs lyrically are a little bit, I don't know what the word is. They're not that politically correct, shall we say, but that's not really the point of a band like this. You're mainly in it for the sound, and they generate a fantastic sound. Touch Too Much is the single, or was the single. I think it was the first single, and there's a clip of them performing it on Top of the Pops in, I think, February 1980. Pretty close to when Bon passed away. So I'm not sure which exact month he passed away, but that's a great single and great backing vocals. That's another thing Malcolm was involved in, the backing vocals on AC/DC, which have always been so distinct. He was a big part of that, from songs like Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap to She's Got the Jack, or a song like this, Touch Too Much. Brilliant. Beating Around the Bush is a strong closer to side one. Very fast rhythm track, and some passionate vocals from Bon. And then we turn over to side two, and we get Shot Down in Flames, which probably is my favourite AC/DC song of all time. I think it's just brilliant. The intro, the guitar riff, and then Bon screaming and then shouting 1, 2 for the drums to come in, and the bass, and they do, and then the verse leading to the chorus, Shot Down in Flames, is absolutely magical. And again, when they play it live, I've heard or seen a few live versions of this song, and with both Bon and with Brian singing, and again, too fast. Just this album version is perfect. Get It Hot is an energetic rocker, probably one of my least favourites on the album, but nothing wrong with it. And then If You Want Blood, You've Got It, which had earlier been the title of a live album from the previous year, which is an absolutely brilliant album, by the way, one of the best live rock albums ever. And so they quite rightly decided to make a song with that name, and suitably gory lyrics, and just a great guitar riff from, I presume Malcolm and Angus came up with the guitar riff, and it's I'm assuming Bon Scott wrote the words, and the other guys wrote the music, but I could be wrong. Maybe they all helped out a bit with a bit of each. But If You Want Blood, You've Got It, another lost gem in their catalogue, up there with the very best. Love Hungry Man. I mean, it's an okay song. It's a little bit similar to Cold Hearted Man from the previous album, Power Ridge, which I prefer. But this track is okay. It's a little bit filler, but it's, again, good backing vocals. And the Night Prowler is a kind of slow, bluesy number where Bon Scott is pretending to be a night prowler. And then good guitar solo from Angus, and not a bad way to finish the album. And then Bon Scott at the very end of the album goes Shazbar Nanu Nanu, which is from Mork and Mindy. So this album is, as I say, the last one with Bon Scott, and they would continue for years and years with a different lead vocalist after Brian Scott died, Brian Johnston. And Malcolm Young here, sadly, we lost yesterday, but his memory lives on through these superb albums and his superb guitar playing. So thanks very much for watching. See you next time.